Good morning and welcome back to Fox and Friends. It's now 16 minutes after the hour. There is an intense scene unfolding at this hour for a man accused of stabbing a police officer. That suspect, an escaped inmate. This happened at a Walmart in South Carolina, and authorities say they believe that Michael Allen Williamson got out of prison by sneaking into a food service truck. He was sentenced for life behind bars in 1988 for armed robbery. That officer is now in stable condition. 14 people killed and nearly 2,000 homes and buildings destroyed. This morning, police say that 2 teenagers are to blame for all of that. Those suspects now behind bars, accused of starting the deadly wildfires that rage across the Great Smoky Mountains in Tennessee. Those 2 could be tried as adults. Those are your headlines. Steve, Brian, and Ainsley. See you soon.
Thank you, Heather.
Well, Michigan's vote totals are final. The judge who ordered the recount doing an about-face, sealing President-elect Donald Trump's win.
However, Green Party candidate Jill Stein not giving up just yet, trying to stick taxpayers with another $1 million recount tab.
Robin Murdoch from our affiliate Fox 2 in Detroit is live with the details in Michigan. Hey, Robin, what's the resolve?
You know, this just keeps on going back and forth. It's one of these stories that you have to continue to follow to try and figure out what is going on. But the very latest here in Michigan, at least, is that the 4.8 million ballots that were being hand counted that were cast during the presidential election, they are no longer going to be counted. That has to be stopped. That is a result of the federal judge's ruling that basically said there was no reason for a recount. It was not valid. And his 8-page opinion, he also stated that there were no signs of any tampering or fraud during the recent presidential election. Since about Monday, counties all across the state here, they have been recounting those ballots by hand because of an earlier court ruling which favored Green Party candidate Jill Stein and her asking to expedite the process. Now, in a statement, the Republican Party chair said that they reaffirmed, the courts did, that Jill Stein is not legally entitled to hijack the will of the voters. They basically called this an expensive publicity stunt because it's estimated to cost about $2 million here in Michigan. Obviously, the Green Party says they are going to continue with this. They plan to go with the Supreme Court and ask them to continue with this recount. And again, in Pennsylvania, there's expected to be a hearing tomorrow to decide whether there will be a recount there. So this is a story that keeps on evolving in the various states in which this is connected to. It's something that we're obviously going to have to keep an eye on.
Right.
Reporting from Detroit, Robin Murdoch, back to you.
Thank you very much, Robin. Just seems like a waste of time and money.
Really? Seems? I could edit out the seams for the West Coast.
Jill Stein, however, says she's doing it for the folks.
Right. What folks are they?
The green
Why not
folks.
New Hampshire? That was close, too. Oh, Hillary won. Maybe that has something to do with it. Coming up, she's the president's right-hand woman. This morning, Valerie Jarrett making headlines because she says her soul is crushed. Why?
And this home might look like the perfect place to rent for your vacation, but it is fake. It is one of the biggest scams out there, Brian. What you need to know, Steve.
Fake real estate news?
Next.
I gotta hear that.
It is day 4 of our Don't Get Scammed series, and if you're planning a holiday getaway, you need to beware because travel scams could ruin your plans. Travel expert Mark Murphy joins us now with what to look out for. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Ainsley.
Well, let's talk about travel scams. What's your advice to people? Because a lot of folks are going out of town for the holidays.
Right. So, number one, if somebody asks you to wire money if you're doing a vacation rental home, don't wire money.
Like to pay for it, you mean?
Yeah, don't wire money. Use services like Airbnb and other services where they actually escrow the money and they don't release it to the host until 24 hours after you check in. So you know you're going to get what you're paying for. And if there's any issue, you can get it resolved before they pay the host. Because once that host is paid, you're stuck with that rental.
I couldn't imagine paying and then showing up and there is no vacation.
Yeah, and you also have to worry about things like fake pictures. So people will put up fake pictures and you think you're getting this unbelievable villa, and as it turns out, that's not what you're getting. Or
like
bait and switch. They'll show you that, and then you'll have a cabin, 3 miles from the lake, which is exactly where you're going to end up staying, even if you have a place. There have been people that have shown up at a rental, and there's people living in the house.
How do you know, though? I mean, how do you prevent yourself from doing that?
So you do a few things. Number one, you go through, like, if you're going to rent a house or a villa, you use sites like Vacay Hero, you use sites like One Fine Stay. They actually manage the property, and what that means is you know that the property is what it is. On the other hand, you also want to do Google mapping of the property. So if you're dealing directly with an owner, you want to look at that Google map and make sure that that house is exactly where they say it is. And of course, I always say, if you can use a travel agent, they have E&O insurance and other protection, and they work with accredited suppliers, so you're going to get what you're paying for. And that's another great tip.
Okay, and you already told us about check the reliable sites.
Yeah.
What about when you're already there? What other scams do we need to watch out for?
Well, let's look at Wi-Fi. Everybody goes on and loves free Wi-Fi, and a lot of places advertise free Wi-Fi, but that means it's an open, unsecure network. So what does that mean? They have access as soon as you log on, if they're hacking that network, to your photos, to if you buy something, your credit card information, literally everything sitting on your computer. So I use something called the Wireless Traveler. It's a little thing, it's about the size of a credit card, and you basically use something like that. It's a Wi-Fi hotspot that I can take pretty much any country I go to, and then I know I'm in a secure environment. So that's one way to do it. Or just make sure, because even at hotels,
I was going to say, are you protected in a nice hotel?
Not necessarily. You could have a 5-star hotel, and they could be hacked. So
where do we buy these little cards? What are they called?
There's one company I know called Wireless Traveler. There's others out there. You can buy Wi-Fi spots from AT&T and the different providers. But just watch the data and basically buy a block of data, so you're not going to get those overcharges that you get killed with when you come back.
What about exchange rate scams?
Well, so people don't realize, they're like, oh, would you like us to charge you in your own currency? Well, if they charge you in your own currency at the restaurant or the retail store, it makes you comfortable because you know what you're going to actually get on your credit card bill. The problem is they give a really bad exchange rate, which is usually 5 to 7% different versus the actual exchange rate. So use a credit card that has no foreign transaction fees, which can add another 2 or 3%. So you could lose 10% of your purchasing power simply by dynamic currency conversion, which is that scam where they do the exchange rate and the currency fees when you do a foreign transaction on credit cards. So check your credit card to make sure there are no foreign transaction fees.
Mark, thank you for being with us.
Always glad. Thank you.
All right, tomorrow we're going to tell you how to avoid getting scammed while you're shopping for your holiday gifts. Coming up, she is the president's right-hand woman, and this morning Valerie Jarrett makes headlines because she says her soul is crushed. Why? And you know him from Cheers, but there is something that you don't know about John Ratzenberger. Steve just got the scoop, and it has something to do with Donald Trump.
Clip Reagan again?
What, Mondale?
No, not a chance. See, I figured it out. And by my calculations, our next president has to be named Yelnik McWawa.
How dare he drink in uniform? John Ratzenberger joins us right now live. I have a question for you. I watched every episode of Cheers. What were you guys drinking at the bar? It looked like beer.
At times, especially any show I directed, towards the end of the night, I'd tell the prop man, go ahead, put some Heinekens in there.
Isn't that funny?
Oh, really?
That's excellent. That had to have been so much fun. Remember, news anchors could smoke on set. Do you remember that? Sometimes they would have whiskey underneath the set.
Oh, you could smoke anywhere back then. It's movie theaters.
Right.
Yeah.
We allow the crew to drink. That's why they're so happy, right, guys?
Good job. Is that why they're sleeping?
That's why they never leave.
I always say this, and I know you're curious about things I say. So I always say when it comes to TV series, exactly. Wonder what Brian thinks. I think Cheers had it did it like nobody else. It had a mix of heart and comedy. It didn't make you laugh. It made you care about the guys. As much as I love Seinfeld, you didn't care about the people. We cared about you guys.
There was a difference with the writers of Cheers. They grew up in that generation where they grew up reading books, and they didn't watch TV. It's my generation, so they understood the classics, Dickens and Shakespeare. They understood character development and what ethos and pathos and all that stuff, and that's what they wrote in. That's why Cheers was.
And a lot of people voted for Donald Trump because they want to go back to that. They miss that great America.
John was on the Trump train over a year ago.
Oh yeah. I was on Neil Cavuto's show. pledging my support.
I have never met Neil.
He's a nice fella. Is that him? No.
Hey,
He's got a Heineken right now.
What's your message for Hollywood? I mean, we've talked about the therapy dogs. We talked about the Play-Doh and the coloring books, and people are so crushed that their candidate Hillary Clinton didn't win.
Isn't it nice that the adults are back in charge? Say, okay, kids, give us the keys to the car. You've done enough damage, and now we'll take over.
How about Donald Trump? He's made it very clear he wants to bring back as many jobs to the United States as possible. A week ago, it was Carrier. This week, it was the SoftBank guy saying 50,000 jobs. You have been somebody who's advocated for people to learn a skill so they can get the job from the get-go.
And we teach our children that in grammar school and middle school. That's the age you want to teach them. Even if they grow up to become a psychologist or a stockbroker, it makes no difference. At least they could fix their own screen door. And also they have the fundamentals to go to a manufacturing facility and be trained in something. But now that's gone. They don't even have the facility to be trained.
Sure. We were talking in the hall about how when I was in high school, my dad said, look, if you want to go to law school or whatever, you need a backup. So I wound up joining the FFA and learned how to weld. And welders today make a pretty penny.
Yeah, I know. Starting out, $126,000. I think it was North Sea oil rig, but still.
Really?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I would train to be a dog catcher. So right now, if anybody's dog is loose,
there are a lot of loose dogs out there.
In case something goes wrong.
Well, we've got just the thing for you.
We have special
Perfect
gifts.
segue.
The pet gift box, yeah.
What are
What's
they?
going on?
Well, this is a company we started, and these are gift boxes. So instead of going all over the internet searching for different presents, we have everything in one spot. If you go to thegiftbox.com, we have, then they have the menu. You've got pets, you've got golfer, fishing,
Travelers.
These are the three that we're starting this week on.
Candy.
Oh yeah, this is the sweet box.
Oh, that looks delicious.
Have a ball.
Where's the golfer box?
Golfer box
over
is over there.
That would be you.
Yeah.
Do you have a soccer box?
Well, that's coming. So what we're doing is we're buying up other companies now. See, when I was traveling, doing my Made in America show, and also, traveling, speaking about the trades, things like that, I keep bumping into people that have these great little businesses, but they don't have access to Walmart. And I thought, wait a minute, why not put them all together under one roof on the internet? And so that's what we've done. David Polinsky, kicked it off.
I looked on your website, and it's really great because you just go through and according to your interest, you hit that, and then once a month you send a box out, right?
Right, and so even the person you send the box to, say you send somebody, the
candy,
the candy,
sweet
if
box.
they say, we've had enough sweets and we have a dog, well, then they can switch over.
Oh.
I want the dog box in February.
Right, and
I want
you
the
still
traveler
paid
box
for
in
it,
March.
so it doesn't make any difference to them. And they accrue points. And at the very end, when you're checking out, you've got a choice of a couple of charities you can donate to if you want.
And this is great because you're giving people in business a chance, right? I mean,
right.
You're put them with the big guys.
Right, exactly. So if you're making soaps up in Vermont, if you've got a company, you've got your act together and you can, deliver, then sure.
Okay. Right.
You come on and join
What's
the
the
family.
Website?
TheGiftBox.com.
Very good.
Thank
you use
John.
it now, you'll get it by Christmas, right?
As a matter of fact, I'm going to leave these here for you guys to scavenge through.
Okay, there you go. Merry Christmas. That was a general statement,
Cheers, John.
Not something.
All right. Mr. Ratzenberg, always a pleasure.
Thank you.
John,
Steve.
thank you. Heather, Merry Christmas to you. Heather, do you want me to reserve a box for you before this
sea salt
crazy
caramel.
crowd?
Save one for me.
Which one do you want?
My kids do a craft box that they get every month, and they love it. These are great gifts.
Wow.
They really are.
Yeah, we'll be doing that. We'll be doing a craft box, especially for kids.
Fantastic.
Right.
Smart idea.
And we'll get you
I
a
love it.
coupon.
Okay.
All right, not free.
I want a coupon.
Okay.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I've got a couple news headlines to bring you right now at 37 minutes after the hour. The alleged mastermind behind the 9/11 terror attacks appearing in court later today. Just hours from now, a closed-door hearing is set to begin at Gitmo for Khalid Sheikh Mohammed to decide if he is a cold-blooded killer. If he appears, it would mark the first time he has been seen since he was captured more than 3 years ago. Well, what a catch. Border Patrol agents seizing more than $1 million worth of pot on an abandoned boat near San Clemente, California. Agents discovering several large bags containing 2,400 pounds of pot on board the 25-foot vessel. Chaos and violence outside a high school in Reno when a teenager pulls out a knife and starts swinging it around at his classmates. A school police officer forced to shoot after the teen refused to drop that weapon. That 16-year-old is now hospitalized in critical condition. It all started as a fight between students. No one else was hurt. The police officer now on administrative leave. And one of President Obama's top advisors still recovering from the shock of the election results.
This kind of, was I'm not sure what the right analogy would be, but like a punch in the stomach, let's say. Soul crushing.
Soul crushing, she says. Well, that is Valerie Jarrett making the dramatic admission at a Women Rule event. But she admits the mood at the White House has now improved since election night. And those are your headlines as we watch Stephen Bryan digging into the candy.
I love this. These are chocolate-covered pretzels by a company called Fatty Sundays over in Brooklyn.
Wow. And by the way, Heather, we had no idea when to toss to you because John had left with the gift box. And he usually gives us our cues.
They're gone.
I guess hypothetically we should go to Janice.
Hi.
I would.
Yeah.
Hi, Janice.
Save some of those for me.
Okay.
The candy.
Okay.
Steve Ducey.
I'm setting it right there for you.
Excellent. Are there any sneaky treats in there, too? You know I love my sneaky treats. Let's take a look at the map, shall we? Because you know what? Winter is here, my friends. We have cold, cold air, the coldest air of the season that is sunk as far south. Well, we'll be diving as far south as the Gulf Coast in Florida with temperatures around the freezing mark. And behind this, another shot of cold air. So that means the cold air is in place. And that will mean if we get any storm systems on the horizon, that could mean snow. So that is a lead up to the fact that we have lake effect snow warnings across the Great Lakes, several feet of snow, and our next big weather maker comes in from the west, and this is the one we're going to watch as we get into the weekend, as we could get some snow out of this for the Northeast. Hi, do you want to say hi to anybody? Say hi, Mom and Dad. You're at Fox and Friends. Come on over here. Where are you from?
Oh, Texas.
You're from Texas. What do you think of the weather?
It is very cold.
It's very cold. A weatherman in the making. Back inside. You guys stay out here, okay? Because you know who's coming out? Steve Ducey. Okay, so stay right here. Oh my gosh, Steve Ducey is coming out here.
Someone's calling. They're calling people.
Look at the crowd for you, my friend.
All right,
here.
All right, JD, the weather machine out in the weather. Thank you.
Way to terrify the tourists, JD. They're never coming back. All right. Hey, General James Mattis nominated to lead the Pentagon.
So how do our veterans feel about that? Former Navy SEAL Eli Crane, he is here with what he wants from our next commander-in-chief.
Morning, sir.
All right, now for your headlines. A document dump revealing the worst VA hospitals in the nation. USA Today obtaining internal files from the Veterans Affairs Office, ranking each facility from 1 to 5. The worst offenders? Texas and Tennessee, where some got 1 star. The Phoenix Clinic, where dozens of veterans died waiting for treatment, also got just 1 star. That's pathetic. And it's a story that sparks nationwide outrage. Now the Pentagon attempting to right their wrong. But it's not good enough. After initially saying thousands of soldiers needed to pay back decades-old re-enlistment bonuses because the Pentagon screwed up and gave them too much, now officials say they just want 700 soldiers to pay back. That is not going to suffice. That is wrong. We're going to look at that story.
It's about 700 too many. Meanwhile, Donald Trump hailing his pick for Secretary of Defense as the best choice to lead the United States in the war against terror.
So what do combat veterans think about Mad Dog Mattis, and what do they want to see from the next commander-in-chief? Former Navy SEAL Eli Crane joins us now to answer that question. Good morning.
Sir.
Thanks for having me here.
Thank you for your
Whose boss was
service.
once? Great to see you.
Kyle.
Yeah.
Chris Kyle, American sniper.
So what do you make of some on the left are saying, oh, Donald Trump's got 3 generals already. He might have more. Way too much military in there.
I think it's a good sign. Actually, I think it's a sign that Donald Trump's not interested in bringing on yes men or politicians. I mean, Mattis is a legend in the Marine Corps, and you don't become a legend in the Marine Corps, one of the greatest fighting units of all time, without knowing what you're doing. And so I think that if, it's going to make, foreign leaders take us a lot more serious.
Wow.
Very interesting, because you mentioned your brother's a Marine, so the Marines mean a lot to you in particular. But this is what the naysayers are saying. Sorry, I'm going to talk about this in a second. Here's what the naysayers are saying. Generals are used to getting it done. When they're given orders, they get things done. They make sure things are done. And sometimes in the positions they're in, they have to say, no, this shouldn't be the way. Is that a legitimate concern?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, what President-elect Trump is going to do is he's going to assemble the wisest generals and admirals in the land, and he's going to ask for a couple contingency plans and, plans on going forward, how we're going to do what we need to do. And one of the favorite things that I've seen Donald Trump do so far is not discuss the plans that he's going to execute with the media or anybody else. And I think that's a sign right there that, he's ready to take this position. Some critics have said, you have a bunch of military men in there. They just take us to war faster than the average person. But when you look at, for instance, Colin Powell, when he was in the George Bush administration, he was one of the most conservative, most cautious guy on the cabinet. Well, what people have to understand is they're going to give courses of action to President Trump, and then ultimately he's going to be the one making the decision. So it won't be the generals that make the final say. They'll just come up with the battle plan and, hey, this is what I think we should do, and then they're going to give him a bunch of courses of action, and then President Trump will make the final decision.
Buck stops there. Eli was passing these out to us during the commercial break. Eli, what are these?
So these are some of our famous bottle breachers.
What's a bottle
basically
breacher?
We're making bottle opening great again, but yeah, so these are 50 cal dummy rounds, and what they do is they breach your beer, they open your beer, and
it's a bottle opener.
It is.
You came up with this when you were actually in the service because you knew you were getting out and you needed something to do, so you took a 50 caliber round, and what'd you do with it?
We just I actually took a Dremel tool for the first one, and I took it and I started cutting on it, and I spray painted it. I put some polish on it and a sticker on it, and I took it to work, and all my buddies loved it.
Well,
and from that,
it worked, right? It opened up the bottle first.
Absolutely, and they freaked out.
Show us how it works. There's a bottle right there.
So basically, all you do is you take your beer, you put the pry tooth underneath the cap.
I saw this on Shark Tank. I know how it works.
Yeah. So Shark Tank was a great experience for us, and we actually managed to land 2 investors, Mark Cuban and Kevin O'Leary.
That's right. If you missed that, that's John Sampson, who earlier took
he stole all the
candy.
gifts, now he's stealing the alcohol.
Here's that scene from Shark Tank.
At Bottle Breacher, we make the finest, personalized 50 caliber bottle openers on the market.
You might be asking yourself, why would anybody want a 50 caliber bottle opener? Short answer is, they're awesome.
We're each going to put in $75,000. You got 2 sharks, no contingency. We're going straight in.
Go right to work.
Mr. Cuban, Mr. Wonderful, you guys are awesome!
So there you are with your wife. All right, in
what
addition,
have they done for you?
So they've done a lot for us. They've opened doors that we would have had a really difficult time getting into on our own, and they've just really helped us make connections that would have been difficult.
Okay, so now it's not just a bottle opener. Now it's also a wine opener?
Yeah, we have a wine opener.
Brian's got it right here.
Right here. We have this wine opener, and all of it's made right here in the USA. We have a pin. We have whiskey bullets down
what
here.
does Brian have? A
This is a live grenade. Oops, wrong collection.
Right, we call that the Freedom Frag. So that's our newest product. And that just went live this last week, and it sold out within like 6 hours.
When you say went live.
right. I mean, we launched the product.
Okay.
This is a bottle opener as well.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Eli, if people would like to support your business, where's your website?
Go to www.bottlebreacher.com and, help us make bottle opening great again.
SEAL turned entrepreneur. Great job. Fantastic
Thank you, guys.
story.
I appreciate it.
And thanks for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our
Good
viewers
job.
are amazing, so I hope you have a lot in stock.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Remember when designer Tom Ford said this about dressing our future First Lady?
Melania Trump. She's quite beautiful, and she's thin.
Yes.
She's going to look great in the clothes, no?
I don't know. I was asked to dress her quite a few years ago, and I declined.
Why?
She's not necessarily my image.
Well, one designer is stepping up, saying work with Melania would be an honor. Carly Shimkus will be here to talk about it this morning. Hi, Carly.
But first, on this day in 1989, Billy Joel was...
She's thin. She's going to look great in the clothes, no?
I don't know. I was asked to dress her quite a few years ago, and I declined.
Why?
She's not necessarily my image.
Ooh, burn.
Really?
Joining us right now, talking about what's lighting up the internet, is Carly Shimkus. She's from Fox News Headlines 24/7. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So Tom Ford taking some heat for not saying, yeah, I'd be happy to take care of the First Lady.
Yes, but equally high-end fashion designer Carolina Herrera says it would be an honor
I don't know
to
about
dress
equally. She's been around a lot longer.
You're actually right. Her career has been fantastic. And she said, quote, "It is an honor to dress the first ladies of the country, and it's something to do for the United States. It's not for myself, it's for the public." So she's seeing a lot of praise for this sentiment after so many designers came out and said that they would not dress the future First Lady.
Because they were on
like
Hillary
Tom Ford,
team.
who said that, you know, his clothes might be a little bit too expensive for Melania Trump. When he made a dress, he dressed Michelle Obama in a custom gown. When
Carolina Herrera has been on
For
Fox
people that
News.
don't really care that much about designers, why does it matter so much? Is it personally insulting to somebody to be rejected by a designer?
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's just insulting. I mean, it's such a position of honor and power to be the First Lady, and for a designer to say that, you know, they're not going to dress you.
How quickly they forget
is
from where they come, though, because if you're a designer, you have to make clothes for everyone. And wouldn't you be so grateful if anyone wanted to buy your clothes?
You're absolutely right. So one could even argue that, you know, the designer's really shooting themselves in the foot for taking that position.
Forget about Tom Ford. A lot of people want to get dressed by Kid Rock.
Yeah, from Tom Ford to Kid Rock. How about that? So Kid Rock is actually selling some T-shirts, some pro-Trump merchandise, one that says God's, guns, and Trump, and a hat that says Make America Bad Bleep Again. and a few other things that are a little bit too vulgar to say, that are some
they're colorful.
Yeah.
And they're conversation provoking.
Bingo. So he's seeing a lot of criticism for this. Corey tweeted, Kid Rock should be banned from Detroit. No more welcome in my city. But other people are loving it. Patrick tweeted, Kid Rock makes me proud to be pure Michigan.
So if people want to buy it, where do they go?
They go to his website, and he said that he created this merchandise because there was overwhelming support, and a lot of people were requesting this kind of stuff.
Don't be surprised if Donald Trump gives him a cease and desist order because he wants to have all the merchandise.
That's right.
Some of them might be a little vulgar, but they're funny.
They are funny. You're all gathered around the computer today looking at them. All right, Carly, we'll see you later.
Thank you so much.
All right, Carly, let me tell you what's coming up straight ahead. You guys can listen too. He called Castro a remarkable leader. We're talking about Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And guess who he's meeting with today? Stay tuned. You'll find out. And
one of those motorcycles costs as much as a house.
No doubt about it. James Dean stuck in the 80s. She thinks she's in a White Snake video right there.
It's so funny.
This weekend is the International Motorcycle Show here in New York City.
Awesome.
And we've got some really cool Ducati motorbikes. Some of them come at a premium price. And that's even before Janice Dean, the motorcycle machine, hops on top.
And by the way, one fan will get one. Is that correct?
Sure, they're all for sale.
Okay, good, if they want to buy them. All right, let's talk about what Donald Trump's doing with his cabinet. I find the drama fantastic. We'll see in those elevator doors every day. I find out the number is about 70 plus of how many people have been invited or have come in to speak to Donald Trump about appointments as well as cabinet positions. And some have gotten jobs already, including, if you're listening on radio, I'm sorry, but including everybody there who is pictured.
There are 10 people that have gotten jobs so far. There's 6 more, obviously, to fill if you look at that
Sure,
graphic.
and it looks as if the Secretary of State shadow will be filled in next week. But here's the thing. So far, 3 of the names on there after it was announced yesterday, the retired Marine General John Kelly would head up the Department of Homeland Security. That's in addition to James Mattis, Defense Secretary, and Lieutenant General Michael Flynn as National Security. There are some on the left who say, look, we've never seen so many flagged officers in an administration. And what that does is it ignores the constitutional tenets of civilian oversight of government. Keep in mind, that's why Mr. Mattis needs a waiver from Congress, because it has not been 7 or 10 years since he stepped aside from the military.
Yeah, keep in mind, they are civilians. That is their past job. That's a part of serving the country. Here's what Adam Schiff said yesterday, followed by Josh Earnest's smug remarks from the podium.
What may tip the balance for me is if the president-elect populates even more positions with the administration with other military figures, I'm going to have a lot of heartburn about this. It's going to place the Mattis waiver in real jeopardy.
The kinds of people that President-elect Trump has chosen appear to have, in many cases, different priorities, different styles, and in some cases, starkly different bank accounts.
Yeah, no kidding.
Wow. I mean, what's wrong with having a potpourri of people from all walks of life and lots of different experiences?
Absolutely. One of the other names.
Pronunciation is potpourri.
One of the other names on the list that is really infuriating some of the lefties is Oklahoma Attorney General Scott Pruitt. He's been nominated, apparently, by Donald Trump to head up the EPA. The Sierra Club yesterday said having Scott Pruitt in charge of the EPA is like putting an arsonist in charge of fighting fires. In the past, he has actually sued the EPA over methane emissions, and he has said that climate change is far from settled science. And obviously, those on the left just hate that. And it is his intent, it sounds like, to undo a lot of the onerous regulations put in place by this administration.
But you know who's pleased? Jeb Bush. Said, great pick. Thinks it's a great pick. Tweeted out yesterday.
So a lot of people are saying, it's just time for a change. We saw that when you all went to the polls. You voted for Donald Trump overwhelmingly. And, President Obama, ISIS began or grew under President Obama. But
started as a JV team.
That's right. That's right. He did say that. And he also said that he had no idea about ISIS, that he was never briefed on ISIS. Listen to this.
The ability of ISIL to initiate major land offensives, that was not on my intelligence radar screen.
Yeah, of course not. Keep in mind, this administration, the narrative has been, we killed Osama bin Laden and everybody's on the run. We've decimated al-Qaeda to the exclusion of ISIS, which has risen up. And if you watched over the last couple of years on this channel and others in C-SPAN, you've had a parade of experts say the president is not paying attention to this ISIS thing, or ISIL.
Wait, I thought he didn't know about it.
Oh, I know. But he should have just turned on the TV, because you got all these people saying this. Listen.
Syria has become a huge magnet for extremists.
Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is a designated global terrorist under U.S. law, and we believe is currently based in Syria. His mission, as clearly stated in his own statements, is to carve out a zone of governing territory from Baghdad through Syria to Lebanon.
Just the level of destruction that they're having, the level of killing that they're doing inside of that country is terrible.
Read Mike Flynn's book. He talks about it when he did. He is on record saying that his hair was on fire. A lot of people who saw the rise of ISIS, and we pulled all our troops out, but the president ended the war in Iraq, remember? Yeah. You can't end the war in Iraq and have al-Qaeda in Iraq come back, which is what happened. Carl Higbee, former Navy SEAL.
Barack Obama's foreign policy has been a complete disaster. He knows darn well that his intelligence community told him that, and any general that told him that ISIS was going to be a problem, he fired them. That way he wouldn't have to listen to him. And all the people who didn't speak up are the ones that stuck around, that he didn't get rid of. So when he says that he didn't hear about this from the intelligence community, that's malarkey. I know for a fact guys like General Flynn told him that this was going to be an issue.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely correct as well.
So he did know about it. They warned him about it. And he ignored it, I guess, because ISIS is now here in America.
Yeah. And speaking of threats, yesterday in particular, we observed it here on this program and this channel as well. It was 75 years previous that the Japanese attacked the Americans in Pearl Harbor. Yesterday they had a commemoration, and it included the U.S. Pacific Commander, Admiral Harry Harris, who took that moment with about 10,000 people in attendance throughout the Pearl Harbor area yesterday, to take a shot at a very famous American who is not being very patriotic these days.
You can bet that the men and women that we honor today and those who died that fateful morning 75 years ago never took a knee and never failed to stand whenever they heard our national anthem being played.
Some people were brought to tears in that audience. It reminds me of my grandfather's. I remember my mom's dad telling us, and it didn't even resonate with me because I was so young, of the importance of the story, but he was on a Navy ship out in the middle of the ocean, and a kamikaze pilot comes toward their boat and is getting ready to blast into their ship, and it decided at the last minute to go into the water and looked at the men on board and gave them a thumbs up.
Wow. Wow. I never heard that.
And
that's unbelievable.
And
they were the first suicide bombers.
And those in attendance yesterday, after he said that comment, many of them in their mid to late 90s, what do? They gave him a standing ovation. And keep in mind, a lot of these men were in wheelchairs and walkers and needed assistance.
For them to get on their feet.
Brushing the tears aside, because that's why they were all there that day, to protect the United States of America, and they don't like the disrespecting that some are showing our American team.
It's just so funny the way the NFL now is so hard to find out who's standing and who's not for the national anthem. They knew it was devastating to the league and really aggravating to people paying top dollar to go to these games. So you really don't see the national anthem. You don't see the people anymore. It doesn't mean you're not seeing the fists in the air and guys on their knees.
What do you mean you don't see the people?
You don't really see the teams during the national anthem that much.
Just show the flag.
They're not showing them.
The networks are saying, look out, especially when they had 2 weeks of salute to the military.
Sure. Well, I know some people who have said since about 2 months ago, I will never watch another NFL game as long as they have that policy.
And a lot of people taking out on the 49ers are not going to the games. That's where Kaepernick plays.
Anyway, as you can see, it has been a very busy morning thus far. And we turn now to Heather for the very latest on how's that recount going in Michigan?
Yeah, well, listen to this. We've got some new news about that recount in Michigan. Signed, sealed, and delivered. The judge who ordered the Michigan recount now doing an about-face sealing President-elect Donald Trump's win, saying Jill Stein, who requested that recount, had no evidence of voter fraud, just speculation. But the Green Party candidate not giving up just yet, trying to stick taxpayers with another $1 million recount tab, this time in the state of Pennsylvania. Well, tomorrow a judge in that state will decide if they will proceed. We'll watch it for you and bring you the latest. An intense scene unfolding for this man accused of stabbing a police officer. The suspect, an escaped inmate. This happened at a Walmart in South Carolina, and that's where authorities believe that Michael Allen Williamson got out of prison by sneaking into a food service truck. He had been sentenced to life behind bars back in 1998 for armed robbery. That police officer now in stable condition. And another urgent scene playing out in Georgia. 2 police officers shot and 1 is dead now, the other in critical condition. And now the hunt for the killer is on. Miguel Lembrick, considered extremely dangerous, we're told. He's accused of killing Nicholas Smar on the right and critically injuring Jody Smith. This unfolded near Georgia Southwestern State University. That's in Americus, Georgia. So why does this keep happening? Sheriff David Clark from Milwaukee joining us earlier on Fox and Friends.
We didn't go tough on crime like we used to. We've gone soft. We started talking about things like rehabilitation, second chance for individuals who have long criminal histories. There are a lot of things that go on that we need to do differently, but it starts with sending a clear and convincing message to the criminal element that there will be swift and severe consequences to criminal behavior.
The run for 19 hours so far. He posted a chilling message on Facebook, quote, "Not going to jail." At the time of the shooting, he was wanted for kidnapping. 14 people killed and nearly 2,000 homes and buildings completely destroyed. And this morning, police say that 2 teenagers are to blame. The suspects now behind bars, accused of starting the deadly wildfires that are raging across the Great Smoky Mountains in Tennessee. The 2 could be tried as adults. And those are your headlines. We've got a lot going on today.
Yeah,
from politics to wildfire.
And Dolly Parton's going to have a big telethon, I think, next Tuesday or Wednesday to raise money for all the people.
Kenny Rogers and lots of great people will be on board that.
All right. A lot of
so
people
much damage and destruction, and it was done intentionally.
Started by those 2 kids. Crazy. All right, Heather, thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up on this Thursday, President-elect Donald Trump reportedly tapping General John Kelly, the Marines, to head Homeland Security. So who is Mr. Kelly? Our next guest knows him personally. Lieutenant General Richard Newton reporting for duty coming up next.
And boy, is he liberal. He's a filmmaker. Michael Moore now planning a major disruption for Inauguration Day, and he wants you to help. Really?
I'm busy.
Really?
I'm really busy.
President-elect Trump reportedly tapping retired 4-star General John Kelly to head the Department of Homeland Security. This marks the 3rd general who could take a top spot in Donald Trump's cabinet. But who is General Kelly, and is he a good fit for this role? Here to weigh in is a man who knows Kelly's background well, a fellow general himself from the Air Force, Lieutenant General Richard Newton. General, always great to hear from you. Now bring us up close and personal with General Kelly. What kind of guy is Donald Trump getting?
Well, good morning, Brian. It's good to be with you. I think President-elect Trump has tapped an extraordinary American to serve as the Secretary of Homeland Security. John Kelly and I served in the Pentagon together as 3 stars. I don't know him well, but certainly when he was the senior military assistant to the Secretary of Defense, that prepared him well to be then the commander of U.S. Southern Command. Again, over 40 years experience as a Marine, both key positions in Washington, D.C., but leading troops in combat for nearly 2 years. If I may also add that he and his wife Karen are an extraordinary couple. They are Gold Star parents. They lost their son, Robert, who was the first lieutenant in the Marines back in November 2010 in Afghanistan. So John Kelly knows what it means to serve this nation and serve this nation well.
So, and he'll be taking this job. Of course, with losing his son, he understands the risk of going to war. He also understands the frustration of not being able to act. He also talked about being head of Southern Command and seeing things people enter the country and being told to stay back. Do you think he asked questions of Donald Trump to what his policies are before he jumped into this prestigious position?
I can imagine. Obviously, I wasn't in the Trump Tower when he and President-elect Trump had that conversation, but I imagine it was a wide-ranging conversation. I would expect that John Kelly had more questions for President-elect Trump than maybe Donald Trump had for him. But again, John Kelly is more than ready to be qualified. I think on day one, when he takes over as Secretary of Homeland Security, the nation's going to be in great hands knowing that he's at the helm of that important department.
I also think it's important,
I'm looking forward to his...
He was the only one that I know that spoke up outwardly and talked about Iran infiltrating into South America and Central America. And he does this in front of Congress back in 2015, and no one's done anything about it. So it'll be there. Last question. General to general. Will generals have trouble cohabitating and sharing ideas and sometimes losing these arguments with other generals?
Well, again, there's lots of discussions between sitting general officers, particularly at the senior ranks, at the 3- and 4-star ranks. If you look at the tank, where the chairman and the Joint Chiefs meet with the Joint Chiefs of Staff, there's lots of wide-ranging discussions where issues are put on the table where people disagree with one another, but you walk out of there, again, supporting the decision, supporting, again, where you can defend the Constitution of the United States. You keep that in the forefront of your mind. And so where there is disagreement, that's well and good, but once the decision's made, it's made by the president, you support that decision.
Right. You would think so. And I know General Powell was frustrated with the Secretary of Defense at different times, and I know in years past, there have been other types of great men and women who just can't see eye to eye. So the question is how they'll get along, and only time will tell. And I'm sure it's heartening to the military to see so many officers in high-ranking positions. General, thanks so much for joining us.
Brian, it's great to be with you. Take care. God bless.
All right, and we'll look forward for formal confirmation today. Coming up, he called Fidel Castro a remarkable leader. We're talking about Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and guess who he's meeting with today? Stay tuned. And one of those motorcycles costs more than a house. Which one is it? Ainsley's, Janice's, or Heather's? That's a lot of hair. All right, we're back with some quick outdoor political headlines now. So long to Harry Reid. I miss him already. Senate Minority Leader and outspoken opponent of everything Republican is giving his farewell speech just hours from now. I cannot wait. Hillary Clinton will be there. Her first time at the Capitol since losing the election. You heard she lost, right, Jill Stein? New York Democrat Chuck Schumer will now take over as Minority Leader. And Vice President Joe Biden hanging out, having dinner with Canadian Prime Minister, big fan of Fidel Castro, Justin Trudeau. The two will discuss climate change, healthcare, and maybe even yoga. And now joining us to talk motorcycles, Ainsley Earhart.
You almost forgot my name.
I almost did.
Brian, run inside and grab your helmet, because we're talking motorcycles this morning. Get your motor running, Brian. The New York International Motorcycle Show kicks off tomorrow right here in Midtown Manhattan. And here with some of the hottest new rides for 2017, the CEO of Ducati North America, Jason Chinnick. Thank you, Jason, for being with us.
My pleasure.
So what is the International Motorcycle Show all about?
It's an opportunity for us to be able to showcase all of the new product that we have for 2017. And it's especially during the winter months when people get a little bit of cabin fever, they get a chance to see these motorcycles, interact with them, talk to the brand, the people that represent them, and learn about basically their plans for next year.
Right before Christmas, too. That was smart. This one right here cost $80,000. That's as much as a house.
Actually, this one isn't $80,000. This one
it's
is
not?
No, it's okay. $11,395.
Oh, there is an $80,000 one.
Yeah, we're working our way there. We're working our way there.
Okay, that's coming up. This one's $11,395. $11,000. What is this one all about?
This motorcycle is the Scrambler Cafe Racer, and the idea is that it evokes kind of the spirit from the 60s motorcycles that sparked a bit of a revolution in motorcycling where people would customize their bikes so they can run them up and down the streets. And it's kind of gives that aesthetic of a classic bike, but with all the modern technology you expect from a Ducati.
What about me? It's enough about your motorcycle.
Brian needs some airtime, so will you go over here and talk to Brian? Brian's getting jealous.
She has not gotten me in the Christmas present yet. How much would this cost, Ainsley?
$11,395 as well. So, and I heard that you want a bike. I already heard it over the air, so
absolutely.
This is perfect.
So tell me about this.
This is the Desert Sled, and the concept behind the Desert Sled was that back in the 70s, a lot of people would take motorcycles and they would customize them to be able to ride them off-road. Big street bikes.
Right.
And then you could take this on off-road, run it around the city. It's a perfect city bike, in my opinion, because you're sitting nice and upright as well.
And good on gas. Now there's a weather girl, Janice Dean, with a lot of hair, and is dying to find out why she's going so fast or pretending to.
Is this the best promo Ducati has ever gotten?
I think so, without a doubt.
All right!
And in fact, the way that you got on and off the bike, you're a total pro.
I know how to mount a motorbike.
It's a monster. What makes that a monster?
Yeah, show me. What's going on with this thing?
The monster is one of Ducati's most iconic designs, and the idea is it takes a very sport bike design, but it strips it down to a beautiful naked motorcycle, and that's what it's referred to.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And this is the 797, so it's the entry into the world of Ducati, under $10,000.
Under $10,000. So I'm going to be taking this baby home with me today.
I hope so.
Doubt it.
Okay. Heather. Right, tell me about this bike. This is a good-looking one.
So this is the Super Sport, and the Super Sport offers the balance between something that people that want a motorcycle that's a sport bike that Ducati's known for, but with a little bit more comfort and good ergonomics, so that if you wanted to ride it in town you can, but you could take it up the canyon or on the motorway as well.
Terrific. And it's not good size for a woman, or is this too big?
Absolutely. I mean, if you're an experienced rider, this is a perfect bike to be able to get you into the world of sport.
It fits you perfectly.
What do you think?
It looks great. Jason, come on over here.
Yes.
Where's the key? I'd start this thing up. What is it?
Actually, the key is usually in your pocket. You don't even have a place you have to put the key anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's just all with it.
Little proximity.
What is this baby?
This is the Multistrada 950, and this motorcycle offers the perfect blend of dual sport riding. So on off-road, long distance traveling, you can put a passenger on the back, cross the country if you want, and this also allows you to be able to, let's say, put large luggage on the side as well.
And that's still affordably priced for a Ducati.
Absolutely. This is $13,995, so an entry into the world.
However, this one right here, it's petite compared to that, but it's a chunk of change.
This it is. This is the $80,000 Ducati.
Wow, I gotta just hop on
This is the $1299 Superleggera, and Superleggera means super lightweight. And with this motorcycle, it actually allows access into a whole nother realm of sport bike riding. 215 horsepower, so the most powerful sport bike ever, production twin ever made. 343 pounds, complete carbon fiber chassis, wheels, swing arm, frame. It's just
it is a sweet ride. Very, very nice.
Hey, good on gas.
You know what? If you're spending $80,000 on a motorcycle, probably doesn't matter.
Just go crazy. Go with
Get premium. Exactly.
All right, so check him out this weekend at the International Motorcycle Show.
Yes.
Jason, thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.
Hey, coming up next on our show, somebody really popular. Any Michael Moore fans? I didn't think so. Michael Moore now planning a major disruption at Inauguration Day. Really? He wants to force Donald Trump inside to get sworn in.
And speaking of Donald Trump ticking on Boeing, so that has many wondering what would be found on Donald Trump's version of Air Force One. Email us and we'll share your thoughts on the other side of a brief timeout as Janice Dean pretends it's windy.
That search. Now, local, state, and federal law enforcement officers are part of this massive manhunt. America's police chief Mark Scott says Lembrick fired shots at one of their officers, 25-year-old Nicholas Smarr, and Georgia Southwestern State University officer Jody Smith, who heard the call and also responded to the apartment complex yesterday morning. Chief Scott says Smarr was killed and Smith was airlifted to a trauma center in critical condition. Now, I have been in touch with officials here at the command center in Americus, and I am told that we do expect to get a briefing from law law enforcement officers this morning and get an update on Officer Smith's condition, along with their search efforts from overnight. But again, officers have just been urgently searching for Lembrick this morning and overnight. And of course, we'll have that update for you as soon as that briefing takes place. Back to you guys.
All right, Nathalie Poso, live in Americus, Georgia, with the very latest on a terrible situation. Thank you, Nathalie.
And police shootings up this year all across the country. It is really concerning. Let's hope law and order comes soon.
Yeah.
Heather Nauert is poised to tell us other news.
Yes, good morning, everybody. I hope you're off to a great day so far. Chaos and violence to tell you about. Outside a high school in Reno, a teenager pulls out a knife and starts swinging it at his classmates. A school police officer forced to shoot that teenager after he refused to drop his weapon. Watch this. That 16-year-old now hospitalized in critical condition. It all started as a fight between students. No one else was hurt. The police officer is on administrative leave. Well, freedom set on fire. American flags flying outside two gyms in California burned to a crisp on the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. The owners of that gym, one of them a combat veteran, defending the flag and what it stands for.
America is the best place. I mean, whether you want to accept that or not, it's got so much freedom, so much opportunity.
Go somewhere else for a couple of months and see what the rights you have there, and you'd be happy to come back here.
He's so right about that. Try someplace else for a few months. Well, police are still trying to track down the suspect. They've since put up new flags. Texas's economy could take a major hit because of its version of the so-called bathroom bill. There's a new study out that claims the Lone Star State could lose 185,000 jobs and cost taxpayers $8.5 billion per year if the bill is passed. It would ban transgenders from using the bathroom of their choice and could keep tourists and big businesses out of the state, the study says. The study is based on states that passed similar laws. Michael Moore calling for violence on Inauguration Day. The controversial liberal filmmaker asking protesters on Twitter to disrupt President-elect Donald Trump's swearing in, saying, quote, disrupt the inauguration. The majority have spoken by nearly 2.7 million votes and still counting. Silence is not an option. The filmmaker predicted Mr. Trump's victory well before Election Day. And those are your headlines.
Well, sorry, Michael. That's just the way it works. It's this crazy electoral college thing.
What happens when people win?
There you go. Elections have consequences.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, in the real world, Donald Trump is talking about getting involved with different businesses. You know, we talk about Carrier, and 2 days ago he said, I just found out this new Air Force One fleet is being built by Boeing at a cost of $4 billion. Too expensive, canceled. Since that time, they've talked on the phone, and now it looks like Donald Trump will personally get involved in the construction of Air Force One if there is going to be a new one.
Well, and after that, there was a hashtag that was trending on Twitter, hashtag found on Trump Force One. So we want to read you some of the things that we're finding.
So if Donald Trump's negotiating the price, he's obviously going to have Air Force One the way he wants it. Janine said this, Twitter on every device and screen, hashtag found on Trump Force One.
Nikki says this, gallons of liberal tears, hashtag found on Trump Force One.
What else would be found there? Where's Waldo? Apparently he's on Trump's plane.
It's one thing for presidents to be involved in trade deals or congressional legislative budgets and stuff like that, but it's very rare for a president to actually be involved in a government procurement deal. And that's what he's going to do, to Brian's point, where he's personally going to get involved in negotiating down the price of the Air Force One.
And Steve, some find a way to find out where $115 billion is being wasted at the Pentagon along with Air Force One.
Well, they're spending it to try to figure out the next generation of Air Force One.
Right, for the Boeing.
It seems a little expensive to Donald Trump. We'll keep you posted.
I talk about expensive. Janice Dean costs us a lot of money every time she gives an update, but she's worth it.
I didn't break the motorcycles, okay? Everything looks good.
All right, good.
What a dream come true.
You break, you buy, Janice.
What's that?
Pottery Barn.
You break, you buy.
Oh, yeah, $80,000. Oh, my gosh. Hi, everybody. Oh, my gosh, look at all my friends out here. How's it going? You just showed up. Where are you from?
Here.
You're from here? Where are you from?
Orlando.
Orlando, Florida. What do you think of it here in New York City?
Awesome.
Oh, good answer. Let's take a quick look at the maps and then we'll meet some of my friends. It is cold outside. How cold is it? The coldest air of the season has arrived. We have wind chill watches and warnings across the Rockies and towards the northern plains where it feels like minus 30 to minus 40 degrees. Brrr. Yes, and that cold is coming as far south as Florida, my friend. It is on the way. So freezing temperatures stretching across the Gulf Coast and in towards the East Coast. And I just want to mention we have lake effect snow warnings across the Great Lakes where we could see 3 feet of snow. And then our next weather maker is on its way from the west that could bring feet of snow to the higher elevations and then some snow across the Midwest and maybe across the Northeast. Are you guys happy to be on Fox and Friends? Yes! What a crowd! Happy holidays. What did you say?
Fox is the greatest.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I just met these folks and they already know the script. It's amazing. All right, say bye to everybody at home. Bye. Say hi to Ainsley, Steve, and Brian.
Hi, Ainsley, Steve, and Brian. You're the best.
Are you? Our fans are the best.
They are.
Back to you.
Janice Dean, the fan machine. Thank you, JD.
All right. Okay. So meanwhile, 20 minutes until we're done. Straight ahead, an inauguration fit for a TV star. Coming up, we have the inside scoop on what Trump is planning for January 20th and who he's planning it with. Can you say helicopter?
Chopper.
Aleppo. And you know her from 90210. But did you know Jenny Garth is a great cook as well?
Yes.
This morning she is making her favorite recipe. It's pie, and she served it even at her own wedding.
Right.
Wedding pie? Fantastic. Good morning.
We have engine ignition. 2, 1, and liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Delta IV rocket carrying the WGS-8 mission for the United States.
All right, we covered the Earth news. Now let's talk about the outer space news. A Delta rocket blasting off from Earth from Cape Canaveral. The rocket carrying a $425 million Air Force satellite to improve communication with our troops. And American astronaut John Glenn is battling a mysterious illness. He's 95 years old and he was admitted to a cancer facility in Ohio. Officials aren't releasing any information about his condition. Glenn, as you know, was the first American to orbit the Earth in 1962 and went back into space, too, later in life. He then became a senator from Ohio. Many people thought he'd be president. So that's a quick look at what's happening in the political news, in the space world. Now about political news.
Back here on Earth, let's talk a little bit about the process that Donald Trump is conducting over at Trump Tower, the vetting process. According to the Wall Street Journal today, so far he's had about 80 different job interviews with people, and Newt Gingrich was asked, what's it like? And he said, you ever watch The Apprentice, which is produced by Mark Burnett, screen right there, screen left, that is to say. He said, it's a lot like the TV show The Apprentice. For instance, Donald Trump is trying to put the applicants under a little pressure to see how they react. Rick Perry came in, he's up for energy, and apparently he really wowed him, and so he is a top contender for that. Then you've got the Oklahoma governor, Mary Fallin. She came in, and Trump said, okay, now explain this deal where you want to sell off these public lands. She couldn't answer. And then he turned after she left and said, I think we need to look for somebody else. She is still being considered. And then this article goes on and said, even when there's a courtesy call that could turn into a job, for instance, Steve Bannon said, why don't you call Mitt Romney in the name of unity to see how we could possibly smooth things over. They got along so well. They've had now 2 face-to-face meetings, and he is being considered for a very high job in the administration.
Some of the phrases.
Based on The Apprentice.
He said, right, he said Mitt Romney that they had a lot of chemistry. And he also said that about President Obama. Like, that's what you say after a date. You know, this chemistry.
Well, that's what it is. Business for him is like dating. They're a little bit like that process. I'm not sure if Mark Burnett said, Donald Trump, how do you interview people? How do you conduct business and built the show around that? Or vice versa. Meanwhile, Harvey Levin asked this question to Donald Trump in his very highly rated special of Donald Trump, seen on here on this network. It was called Objectified.
Here in Midtown, which is a restaurant here in Midtown, for a big fundraiser. And you know how he reveals things when he has the microphone.
Sure.
Some things that maybe his staff doesn't want him to talk about. And he told the crowd, he said, we were talking about what we're going to do for the inauguration on January 20th. And Mark Burnett and some of my closest friends said, we should have a big parade up Fifth Avenue here in New York and then jump on a helicopter, take the cameras, do it all live, and go down to Washington, D.C. How would it rate?
That would be great. And Mark Burnett is the ultimate reality star. And if he's consulting with friend Mark Burnett, who's trying to stay out of the election process, but clearly likes Donald Trump. They're good friends and respect each other. He has a way of bringing up drama from Survivor.
I'm wondering, though, do you think that was just like a conversation of what if we did this and what if we did that? Like they didn't really mean it?
I bet you it's real. I'm not saying the helicopter's real, but I bet you Mark Burnett has some ideas how to make this inauguration different.
Absolutely. So look for a reality TV style inauguration. Speaking of the inauguration, we will actually be down in Washington, D.C. We'll be on the parade route, or maybe we'll be over by where the chopper is going to land. We're going to be there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the day of the inauguration, and Saturday morning. So keep it right here for all your coverage as Donald Trump becomes the 45th president of the United States.
Right. It's going to be easy to get a hotel room, so we won't have a problem finding a place.
We're going down in an RV. We're all staying in Winnebago.
Really? I'll have the 5? Because
I'm driving.
There was one bed on that RV for all of the 5.
Right.
All right, coming up, we all know her. Gosh, we love her. From Beverly Hills 90210.
And Jenny Garth is in our studio. How do I know? Because this is our studio and that's her. She's making pie and maybe she served it at her own wedding. She's going to share with us.
Holidays made for bacon, and who better to help us out this season than one of America's sweethearts?
I cannot believe I'm cooking with Jenny Garth. I mean, I watch 90210 every single week. We all did. All the girls did. Janice, Heather. This is such a treat to have you in here. And speaking of treats, what are we making?
We are making pocket pies. You know, holidays is all about having family and friends together.
And you love pie so much. You served pie at your wedding.
Not
a lot of pie.
Not a cake, traditional. Yeah, I like the pies. Pies are having a big moment right now.
Okay.
So we're making these little pocket pies. Who wants to help me?
Brian is our resident cook.
Okay, yeah, I've trained classically.
We're going to make the glaze first. Yeah. Add that to the powdered sugar.
All right.
Throw in the vanilla.
You know, the only time Brian actually cooks is on television.
All right. Then the next step is to roll out our dough.
And it's okay to use this stuff from the store, right?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Right.
It's
You don't have
fast
to
and
make it
easy.
yourself or have a farm.
No, it's so easy. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Okay.
Right.
You go like that, and then you go like that.
This is a little too easy.
I don't even know how much easier
So far, so good.
Because this is our leftover pie from our holiday get-togethers.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
You have 3 daughters. Do they love this pie?
Yes, well, who doesn't love pie? Smell this. It smells so
It's
delicious.
rhubarb.
America loves pie.
Rhubarb starre.
So there you go. Those
this in.
imagery of some of your kids, and now you're just putting the filling in there.
Right.
You just give me the high sign. I'm willing
This is way too easy.
I know. This is our leftover, and you
press the sides.
Use a little fork
Look
to
at this.
crimp it together.
You know, it's breakfast
Like a
time.
little
Pie's
toaster
great for
strudel.
breakfast.
And here we have our finished product. And drizzle the look how well
Look at how great is that?
Right,
Jen?
very nice.
How great is
Yeah.
that?
You just drizzle this over them.
Oh, good.
As they come out of the oven.
Makes it sweet.
Can we try one?
Yeah, here.
Here you go,
Let's
Steve.
try it.
Jenny, this one's so quick. I think you could do this. You could do this for supermarkets, right? I mean, how many can you make at once?
I don't know. I've never really cooked for a lot of people like that.
I know you call them pie pockets, but aren't these sold as Pop-Tarts?
We call them pocket pies.
Pocket pies.
Yeah.
Now, Jenny, you're teaming up with Marie Callender's. What's going on there? There are several chefs, right?
Delicious.
Yes. Well, we're actually we're doing something called the Dining Room by Marie Callender's. It's here in New York City. It's an opportunity for people who don't have enough space, which is very common in the city, to entertain and get together with their friends and family. We have 3 dining rooms to choose from, and you can come there with up to 12 to 16 of your friends and family, be served a 3-course meal by Marie Callender's with wine.
Wow. Hello.
All it takes is a $100 donation.
That's it?
To Habitat for Humanity, New York City. And
so you're doing something good and you're getting a free meal.
Yes.
Y'all, we all live in apartments, many of us. We've got to do this. We should do this with the Fox and Friends team.
It's such a great opportunity. And each of the dining rooms have been designed by myself, one of them, and Daphne Oz.
What's the theme for yours?
Mine is upscale contemporary.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic. If you would like more information, go to our website, foxandfriends.com, and we are going to link to your website.
And Daphne Oz was an intern here for a while.
She was.
Got her start here.
Jenny was busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Delicious pie.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
All right, more Fox and Friends in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. Take a wide shot. Zoom in, zoom out.
It's delicious.
You know what? The rhubarb is fantastic.